Unfinished business. Madam Clerk, would you read this into the record?
Unfinished business, item A, resolution requesting the Planning Commission to consider and make recommendations concerning a proposed amendment to the Chesapeake Comprehensive Plan to extend the Transportation Corridor Overlay District along U.S. Route 17 to the North Carolina state line, said extension to be coordinated with the pending or approved Dominion Boulevard Corridor District. Councilmember Davis.
Mr. Davis.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Davis, second by Councilmember Ike, to send this to the Planning Commission. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Davis, did you want to say something?
No, I just, as I stated earlier, North Carolina across the line already has business parks laid out. I just think it's prudent to investigate this and plan and give them time to look at this. And I think the mayor has said it best, driving a car without headlights. I just think that we need to be prudent and look at what's from the end of the Dominion Corridor study to the North Carolina line and be sure that we have at least made our best effort to investigate this to see if it could be commercial reserved. Thank you.
I appreciate the word commercial reserve because I just need to know one thing. I'm certainly appreciating wanting to move forward on this item, but this council, I know, was voted on, introduced by Ms. Ritter and voted on the Unique Economic Development Opportunity, the UEDO. UEDO. That's what it's called. Unique Economic Development Opportunity to and if I can, Dr. Bailey, I'd like to ask Ms. Shea, what is the difference in terms, in reference to this? I mean, you're studying things right now. I just need to know, it's my understanding related to the utility lines, related to the electric and other things like that, the area especially is for as south as we can. They're looking at a package septic system, correct? I mean, I just need to know, is there a difference? Because I'm listening to, and Mr. Davis is talking about commercial, strictly commercial, which I appreciate a lot.
Hopefully this will help. Council initiated a review of a large tract of land in southern Chesapeake as a candidate, as a UEDO, Unique Economic Development Opportunity. You got that correct. And we have been studying that, and ultimately what our expectation is that after we address the elements of that policy, which it's an element of the comp plan, there's certain criteria that are spelled out that must be met to become this UEDO. We've been working through that list of criteria and analyzing it, and it is our expectation to bring back to council a recommendation for an amendment to the comp plan, to the land use plan, that would be correlated with the findings of that study.
So with this tonight, is this a hand in glove? Is this, I mean, are we just saying the same thing you just said? I mean, that's what I'm asking.
With the TCOD designation, we would not be making specific land use recommendations. The UEDO, we're anticipating being able to bring you a land use recommendation. The TCOD is it's an economic development preservation tool that essentially is aligned.
But I do know you can go a certain distance from that corridor and you can put residential, and that's what I'm concerned about.
As the policy is written now, we can consider in the outer 1/2 mile of a TCOD corridor residential development as a transitional land use.
Well, how do we preserve the fact of what is being stated here and wanting, when the word commercial is only being used? Is there anything that you can do to give assurance that you're looking in terms of excluding the provision related to residential? Can that be done?
Well, if we initiate the study, we would take a look at what the particular aspects of this corridor are, and we would endeavor to tailor our recommendation to be something that would be appropriate for this corridor, which means we may look at that residential designation or allowance for that residential and perhaps qualify it in a different way.
All right, with that being said, Dr. West, please.
Yes, just as a side note, I had an opportunity to speak to Delegate Knight today, and I did bring up this resolution. He was pleased to see we were doing that. He's meeting with Secretary of Commerce Jones in 2 weeks to discuss this property, and he has also, he passed a budget amendment to spend whatever it takes to move the Williams property mega site from a certificate from 2 to 3, which is pretty important. He said most Caterpillar, some of the bigger companies, are not going to look at sites that are 2, but then get to 3. 4 is obviously where you want to go. So the more we do to make this site a more attractive place, the better chance we have to for it to be a mega site. And that budget amendment is, I mean, he said it'd probably be $250,000 to get this change, but could be more. The budget amendment is for whatever it takes. So.
I'm sorry, did you finish? I didn't mean
Yes.
to cut you. When I met with Mr. Knight initially, he was talking, that's why I'm only concerned, he was talking residential as well, and then he took that off the table. So I just want to make sure we're all in one accord about the residential component. I certainly, when I heard Mr. Davis say, and I don't disagree, I just know what I heard initially related to this particular site, how much residential they really wanted to include. I'm seeing you shaking your hand, Ms. Shea.
Yes, sir. I mean, the direction that we've had, I believe consistently so far, has been that residential is not something that we're interested in at this time.
All right, thank you. Ms. Ritter, please.
Thank you. In that case, would there be a chance to amend this initiating resolution to, I appreciate the mayor saying that, you know, I am the original introducer of the overlay district policy, and it did its job, I think, quite well for a number of years, both on Battlefield Boulevard and on 17. There were reasons that we did not extend this past number 10 Lane at the time, and one of them had to do with environmental and the rural nature of the property, and the second one was the limited access highway that was built, where I don't believe there are many access points, and that we might find it difficult to add access points. Is that correct? To the manager, to Ms. Shea?
That is correct. There is a access management plan or limited access plan for that corridor, and in fact, we've even closed some access points to be able to allow them elsewhere, so that there is a finite number of points to that regard.
Okay, I could support this if it was for commercial only. And I just, Mr. Davis, if you would.
Oh, yes. I mean, that's the intent. And also, as I said to the Vice Mayor, there's also land between Williams Farm and the southern part of this Dominion Corridor study. You know, that's the gap in this. But no, obviously, the effort here is commercial. And that's what the study, I think the Planning Commission can study that and come back with a good recommendation. I also add that, you know, the excitement over the Dominion Bridge and corridor is that, you know, North Carolina and the others are looking at making this interstate designation. And, you know, this is the great opportunity to get jobs if the more we look at the future of this in a commercial aspect. So I appreciate
Okay,
it.
right. All I was asking is if we could amend this
Yes,
for
you could.
that
I'm sorry.
purpose. But secondly, I would like to say that I would hope that we would not see this as the opportunity to push business further south and turn the whole northern part of the Dominion Corridor into residential, because would be a tremendous concern that I would have. I could support it if it had that restriction, and I don't, you know, I know it'll come forward. I also would have a concern that if we use the mile, we're not going to encompass the Williams Farm. Yes, Michelle.
Just for a little background that may hopefully be helpful, you know, we're in the Dominion Corridor, it's a 1-mile radius.
Right.
However, if you were to take a look at how the district was adopted in the Chesapeake Expressway Battlefield Boulevard corridor, it's a 1-mile corridor, but we have target areas that are very specific to the access points on the road. So those areas that are preserved for business development, it's not the whole corridor. It's only at those strategic locations where there's access.
Well, and I think that's something that Mr. Davis, since he put this initiating resolution forward, should certainly play a part in that, but the nodular development was developed through your, my only concern here is when you say extend the Transportation Corridor Overlay District, that means extending it as it exists, to me. So however you'd want to amend the language.
Mr. Davis, how would you suggest clarification?
How would you suggest?
To the city attorney, you obviously hear the intent. What would be the suggested for?
Commercial is a key word here.
Yes, sir. It's very easy to require that the TCOD amendments address only commercial or industrial property, and I can certainly get with Ms. Shea to discuss how we would limit or expand, in this case, the extent of the commercial industrial nodes.
With all minds clear, members, please prepare to vote. Please vote. Please record the vote.
Motion to approve the resolution as amended is adopted by a 9-0 vote.